All right. It's wonderful Wednesday. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo. What's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? That messed my hair up. I pulled my glasses up like that, and it just messed my hair up. Yeah. Am I getting a haircut? No. I'm going to keep the hair like it is because you got to let the luscious locks, the luscious brown locks, you got to let them flow. Got to let them flow. They get a little wild, especially when you put the sunglasses on top of the head. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday. Razorbacks, the football squad, getting a little break today. Once again, I do not have their schedule up in front of me, but they're taking a break today. Good for them. It's much deserved, right? A little warm out. Heat index, I don't know, probably 150. So today they're off, right? Practice 6 and 7 are the 12th and the 13th. You guys can see I'm looking at my phone. If you look at the reflection on my glasses. So that's going to be the 12th and the 13th. Practice is 6th and 7th. It's practice 8, which will be scrimmage number 1. Will be this Saturday. Sadly, I'm going to be out of town. I will not be able to, I don't know if that's going to be open to the public. I don't know what the deal is. Mr. Razorback says first. Josh Farmer, welcome, my man. Let's go, Woo Pig. Robert Ainsworth, yo. Haagen-Dazs. What's up, Haagen-Dazs? I see you from time to time in the comment section, man. Nice to have you here. He says like. Yeah, do me a favor. Let's do a German suplex on the like button. And Big Donnelly says, what's up, Ty? How you doing, man? How's it going? How are you guys? It's so lovely to be Wednesday. Cody Sutterfield. What's up, Ty? What's up, Cody? So, a lot to discuss. We're finally going to do our depth chart breakdown. We're gonna do our depth chart breakdown. Plus, we've had some more position changes. It's getting a little wild at the tight end spot. I don't know what to tell you guys. I feel like they're gonna get a hold of. They're gonna find the janitor that works inside the athletic department and ask him how many years of eligibility he has left, just to try him out at tight end. I could totally see that happening, and I feel like, you know what? It feels like they're pretty close to that point. Tight end, something's going on, and we're going to talk about that too. Super Chat is up and available, but I do these primarily because I know it's middle of the day. You guys are on lunch. Some of you are able to come in here. Don't expect a ton of people, especially because we talk about it every live show. These are random. They pop up, and it's like, hey, whoever shows up, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm happy to have 3 people in live chat. But again, this is for the people who come in afterwards. So, but do me a favor, like the videos, subscribe if you guys haven't already. Please subscribe. I'm telling you, that makes a world of difference for this channel, especially as we move into full time. August 30th, Monday, August 30th. That's day 1. That's day 1 of the full-time show here on the PTN, 11 a.m. to 12. But yeah, so subscribe. Get prepared for that. Get the notification bell. Smack that thing around. Smack it around, okay? Let it know who's boss. All right? I've been watching The Sopranos, and I've been walking around the house going, I got to use the piece-a-do. So, that's why I have the violent, I'm asking you to do violence on that notification bell because of The Sopranos. It's a good show. I'm 20 years late on that damn show. Actually 20 plus years. It aired like in 1990, 98, 99? Okay. Glasses are coming off. We're going to, I just like wearing them so much. I don't know. Yeah, subscribe. And check out all the links. If you guys want to join the PTN Patreon, I know this was already shown at the beginning, but there you go. There it is. If you want to join, let me know too. If you guys join the Patreon, now keep in mind, you may join today. I won't see it until the till it goes through, which is the next, it's several weeks later. So if you join, because I did have someone message me like, hey, I joined and my name wasn't on there. Well, because it doesn't count until, I don't see that until, the first of the next month. All right, did you see the freak stats that PFF? Yes, I did on Treylon Burks. I don't have it in front of me, but he's bench pressing close to 400 pounds. He's squatting 500 pounds. Guys, listen. We had Barry Grooms on. I've talked to Barry Grooms. If you don't know who he is, he's a writer over at Hootens Magazine, does all the in-state high school breakdowns of all the schools. He said when we had him on as a guest on the previous show that I was on, he straight up said he's probably the best linebacker prospect I've ever seen. Go back and listen to it. Now, maybe some of that was said off air. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he said that while we were recording. Talked about Treylon Burks being the best, just pure athlete he's ever watched, or linebacker. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. Please don't take what I'm saying. Don't. It's not verbatim, is what I'm saying. I'm not quoting him exactly, but it was along the lines of Treylon Burks was as good of a linebacker prospect as he was a wide receiver prospect, and it shows when you hear numbers like that why that might be. 6'2", 6'3" in high school. 215. Probably if I had to guess 4.4 speed. I don't really know what his 40 time is, but when he runs the fade and go routes, he just looks gone. He looks like you can't cover him. So I did see those. If you're talking about the gym, the workouts, those measurables, I did see that. John, what's up, man? How you doing? Hogs looking like an SEC team. Can't wait to see KJ go to work. Man looks like a monster. The memes from KJ's press conference with the media are just they're just too good. They're so juicy. God bless Razorback Twitter, am I right? God bless Hog Twitter. All right. We got the formalities are out of the way. You guys know, again, subscribe, like the video, all that stuff. Let's get into first the position changes, and then we'll get into the depth chart stuff. Oh, also injury updates too. There's three really big pieces to this video. We're going to start first let's start with the injury first. Let's go there. We'll start first. Where are we at? What's the marker here? 13:38. Okay. Well, that might be a little bit delayed, but before 14 minutes. Ricky Stromberg suffered an MCL sprain. He's expected to only miss possibly 2 to 3 weeks. Should be ready for Rice. I wonder what they do there if they just let him set that week. If they just let him set it out for Rice, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And I know someone's going to say, well, you're overlooking Rice. No, I'm not. No, I want to make sure he's 110% for Texas. Ty Clary is going to move over throughout camp to center. Then you're going to have someone else take over at right guard, which will probably be, of course I had Bo Limmer. I always forget that kid's name. He spells it funny too. Spells it with that Cajun, the B-E-U-X. But Bo Limmer is expected to start at the right guard position. Look, these are guys with a little bit of experience. Obviously, Ty Clary. I know there's some concern there with Clary's ability to snap the football, because we know the majority of this offense, look, they're taking their snaps out of shotgun. KJ Jefferson has a certain rhythm. If you guys watch him, that ball needs to be delivered where his hands, he doesn't have to make too many adjustments. He doesn't need to jump up for the ball, doesn't need to go out of his way, too much motion. We talked about that so much when Ty Clary was center. His snaps were just not clean. His shotgun snaps were just not clean. I think before he was moved, before he got beat out and Stromberg took over at center, and of course Clary then moved to guard, it looked like his snaps were getting better. But, I mean, I don't know. This is almost like if you can walk out of fall camp with this being and it won't be, let's be honest, it won't be. But if you can get out and this be your most your biggest injury, you can live with this because I don't feel bad at all about Bo Limmer at right guard. He might have a rusty start. He might struggle a little bit against Texas. He's going to be lined up across some big-time 4-star and 5-star prospects. We know Texas is loaded down with them. But, look, you're looking at guys who have experience under the belt, especially Ty Clary, who's played interior offensive lineman his entire career at Arkansas. Not bad for a walk-on. Not bad for a walk-on offensive lineman. His pure blocking ability is fine. He's not great. He's not going to blow you out of the water. He's good enough that Sam Pittman and this staff feels like he's good enough to probably compete for the one spot. So, therefore, you got to imagine he's at least decent for the job or you don't feel as bad, right? Instead of putting some freshman that you don't know anything about, you're not getting a lot of confidence out of the coaching staff in terms of what they're saying to the media. This is an okay scenario to be in, right? You can live with losing Stromberg for a couple of weeks. Now, are there other things that you need to be concerned about? Like, how does this hurt or hinder Ricky Stromberg's development through fall camp? Getting to know the offense even better. Getting those snap reps to KJ, although they have plenty. They've got a lot. I shouldn't say plenty, but we know they're familiar with one another. And I could tell you, again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I was some all-state athlete. I was not, but I will tell you, quarterbacks, sometimes there's an issue with a snap between a center to a quarterback, and it's about that delivery as you snap the ball to the quarterback's hands. Sometimes I'm going to get all up in there. I'm going to talk about it, but that's exactly what some quarterbacks like to do. They like to get up underneath there, all right, when they got their hands. Now, this is not going to be the case because KJ is going to be in shotgun, but if they ever have to audible and get him under center or something, I'm trying to think how often we saw them under center. It doesn't feel like a whole lot last year, but look, they're going to try things on offense this year. They're going to open the playbook up more and more. You're probably going to see some snaps under center. But then, obviously, the thing that you're most concerned about is Ty Clary's relationship with snapping the shotgun snaps to KJ. That's what's more concerning for the KJ Jefferson, Ty Clary, center to quarterback relationship, right? Let me get caught up on chat here really quick. I already read that. I'm hoping Stromberg is all right by Rice game. What about Shane Clennon at center? Shane Clennon's kind of looked at it a couple different places on the offensive line. Yeah, quarterback, LSU's quarterback, whose name is slipping my mind. I'm so zoned in on the Razorbacks today. I haven't even thought about LSU. He's out. Yeah, is it? I think it's for a while. I think you're right, Mr. Bloodline. His injury is pretty significant. It's a shoulder. I think it's his throwing shoulder, maybe. I could be wrong. Hey, Ty, I'm really curious about Hayden Henry, a.k.a. Bobby Boucher. Yeah, I heard that. I heard Michael Schur say that. Have you seen him practice? How's he looking? I have not seen him practice. Remember, they're only giving 20 to 25 minutes to the media. I don't have a pass, okay? The only pass I ever had was the women's games, women's basketball. I don't have a pass. If I catch anything, it's going to be the same stuff you guys watch on YouTube, right? Watching these practice highlights. I have not seen him practice though, so I don't know. Hopefully Stromberg will be 100% by Texas. I want to beat Texas so bad. I want to beat Missouri probably more than anybody this year, if I'm being honest. So, I don't feel as bad about losing Stromberg for a little while as long as he's 100% ready for Texas. Right now, that's the only injury that we have. Hudson Henry has not been spotted at practice. So maybe that's what's going on with these position changes to tight end. I don't know. Henry is just – I don't know what it is. He's had multiple, not significant or serious injuries, but he's had some issues since being on campus. So is his brother. I don't know if you guys saw Hunter Henry, his big brother, Hunter Henry, who's with the Patriots. He's going to miss all of preseason football with the Patriots. He's not going to participate during their preseason games. It doesn't look like. Man, you hate that for those guys, right? At least Hunter's getting paid to some extent in the NFL, right? But I don't know we still don't know what's up with Aaron Outley. You're banged up at tight end. You're just completely banged up there. And you've got one guy, Blake Kern. It feels like now you're at the point, if you lose Blake Kern, remember we talked about this last week. I said it here, or maybe it was the week before last or last week, whatever. You guys heard me say it. The number 3 tight end spot is significant. It is a big deal. So now Levi Draper, let's just segue into the next part of this, right? We got the injuries out of the way. Again, Aaron Outley, nowhere to be found. He hasn't been on, as far as I know, he hasn't dressed out. And Hudson Henry was not seen at practice, I think yesterday. Now he may have been there Monday, but not seen on Tuesday. So again, hopefully we'll know more by the end of the week, by Friday. So let's segue into this position change for just a second. Something that's stood out, it's been the injuries. It's been, where's Colin Sutherland at? What's going on with him? Is he just not, I mean, he's not even been mentioned as a 3 or a 4 since he's been on campus. Aaron Outley, again, hasn't been seen yet. I don't think he's even dressed out once. I know he wasn't in helmet or in, what do they call them, shells. He wasn't in helmet and shoulder pads. They've got a problem. So now they move Levi Draper from linebacker to tight end. And the most recent news broke last night that Dominic Johnson, yes, that Dominic Johnson, running back, guy that was talked about as a change of pace guy, looked pretty good, took the bulk of the carries throughout spring camp through both the scrimmages, actually, that I was at. I saw him carry the ball quite a bit. That's pretty significant. That's either telling you, I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both. Number one, they are really concerned about what's going on at tight end. Colin Jackson, I don't know that he's been seen dressed out. Maybe he has. I don't think he's participated a whole lot, or maybe he's limited. I'm telling you, the media only getting 20 minutes is just stupid. It's just like last year. You don't know what you don't know, and when you don't have all the information, it makes it that much worse. But there's so many question marks at tight end now. It feels like it's Blake Kern or bust, and that's a problem. Sam Pittman talked about going with 2 tight ends at times during this year. Going with 2 tight ends. I don't know that that's going to be possible. Now, this could be a complete overreaction. Maybe Hudson Henry's just taking some time off. Maybe there's something else going on we don't know about. Maybe he's an old injury has caught up to him just for a week, needs some time off. He could be back at 110% and ready to go for Rice. If that is the case, you need to limit him during spring or during fall camp, which is maybe what they're doing. Maybe that's exactly what they're doing. And you're fine, right? Like there's nothing significant going on here. We're good to go. We're just kind of rotating guys out. But then, so what's going on with Aaron Outley? I don't think we've had an update on Aaron Outley. What's going on with the move with Levi Draper? By the way, Michael Schur was asked, the new linebacker coach who's filling in for Coach Rhodes, who's now retired, by the way. But someone, I think it was Trey Biddy, tried to get it out of him whether or not that move was permanent, and he wouldn't answer the question. He just kind of like, we'll see, sort of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions at tight end. Tight ends are very much involved in this offense, whether it's blocking or check down routes, check down targets or short intermediate routes, whatever. But they are a big deal in this offense. They're heavily utilized, and you need to be healthy, and you need to have 2 guys 100% ready to go. And right now, the optics is telling us that's not the case, because not just because of Hudson Henry. And the reason why I think there might be some significance to this is because of the moves of Levi Draper and Dominic Johnson. What else could that be? Like, what else could that be? Why, if this is short term, right? Why are we moving these guys around? Well, we need bodies to fill. You've got walk-ons. They've got like 3 other tight ends that you could just kind of utilize. Well, no. There's something going on here. But at the same time, it may not be anything. And it also could be the very thing that we talked about last week, which was that they're trying to solidify the number 3 spot. Maybe it has nothing to do with Hudson Henry. Maybe it has everything to do with Hudson Henry. But again, you're talking about Levi Draper and Dominic Johnson. they don't have the number 2 running back position 100% down, right? We've not heard, like, they've bragged about A.J. Green and Raheem Sanders. We got more on him too, by the way, and Bumper Pull. I can't wait to talk about that. I'm kind of thrilled about. Well, I shouldn't say thrilled, but it's good news, and I'll get to that in a second about Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders. So they don't have that spot filled. They don't have the number 2 spot filled. So what, why the move was Dominic Johnson just that far behind the other running backs? Maybe that's the other side of this, right? Maybe Dominic Johnson just he's not gonna beat out those other guys, those incoming freshmen, right? I liked him as a change of pace back, lightning thunder kind of situation, like what you see in the NFL. The NFL, it's running back by committee. You're seeing that in college football more and more, running back by committee. You can argue that Arkansas had that when Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis were here, but there was no doubt Darren McFadden was taking the majority of those carries. So mark my words, the Ole Miss transfer will be QB number 2. Wow. Okay, that's a bold statement. That's bold. Just got done with my first day as a senior in high school. Hey, all right, Jacob. Hope it was a good day, my man. You're done at 12 o'clock? I miss Cheyenne O'Grady so much. Can't he be a super senior, or did he go pro? He tried to go pro. Didn't work out. He didn't get drafted. Colin Jackson was in a green, no contact jersey. That's what it was. You're right. He was. Let's see. Sup, Ty. How you doing, Huma? Do you think I'm buffering? Can you guys still see me? That's weird. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a pause. I don't know. The question's going to be about, first off, can they get out of fall camp healthy on the offensive line, and can they solidify the 2 spot? I feel like one of those freshmen are going to snag it, either Raheem Sanders or A.J. Green. A.J. Green, who's a little bit, look, don't overlook Rocket as far as his burst, right? But A.J., once he hits the outside edge, man, A.J. Green is quick. This kid out of Tulsa he could be special, man. If he can remain coachable and remain patient, he's probably not going to get the bulk of the carries. Traylon Smith is clearly right now the number 1 guy. KJ looking like a 35-year-old pissed off construction worker having a bad day. That dude is a grown ass man. We getting those 4 and 1s and 2s. If Arkansas beats Texas, is that what you meant to say? Do you think the fans will rush the field? I don't know. I think the question is, should they rush the field? That's the question. I don't know. Hey, Ty, it's been a while, man. I've missed the stream. Hey, thanks for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. I'm really surprised that I was able to even get this done today, to get all the notes I needed done. I'd thought about going live later in the evening. Seen a video of Texas radio show, and they was talking how Texas was going to dominate Arkansas. We was an afterthought, made my blood boil, beat Texas. Well, I mean, that's Texas for you. That's the hubris of Texas. Then again, they very well might. I don't know. Tony, it's good seeing you, man. Hope all is well with you guys. All right. So what's going on at tight end? That's your position changes. That's that segment. Levi Draper and Dominic Johnson moved to tight end. I think that's pretty significant. Again, it's telling you a couple of things. It's either telling you that the running back position, he's just not fit. He's not gonna get carries in the mix of Traylon Smith, Raheem Sanders, A.J. Green, et cetera, et cetera. What about Josh Ogle? Yeah, walk on. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Josh. I know he's turning some heads in camp. I've actually been a little surprised by him. He's not going away. I'm starting to wonder if they're going to utilize him maybe in special teams. He's pretty quick. He's pretty fast. It's crazy to think the amount of walk-ons at Arkansas who have made some form of an impact. Obviously, Morgan. Morgan has defied all kinds of odds. John David White, who could be a big part of their offense this year. He could step up, man. I think John David, they call him Diesel now. I think he's going to get some catches. He's going to get some receptions, I'm telling you. What's up, Ty? Have you figured out what your wins and losses will be? So, again, on the first week, on game week against Rice, that's when I'm going to release my wins and losses. That's my wins and losses. That's the week. The August 30th, I'm going to give you guys my total, what I think the Razorbacks are going to do. Do they go bowling? Maybe I'm not so keen on them going bowling. Also, Jalen Catalan looking like he on those Mexican supplements. Dude looking thick. Could be that they want to try and throw to the tight end a little more, ? Can either of those guys catch the ball? Dominic Johnson, I think, caught the ball quite a bit out of high school. Now, I don't know about Levi Draper. Levi Draper was just a beast out of high school. You go back and look at his profile, his recruiting profile when he committed and signed with Oklahoma. That kid was a monster. Mr. Bloodline says we're going bowling. Wingates is 8-4. Oh, all right. Let me get my phone. I'm gonna screen cap. Hang on a second. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do you like that. Okay. Let me pull up my notepad here. What else do we have? We covered Ty Clary in the Ricky Stromberg, Levi Draper to tight end. Okay. Before we get into the depth chart talk, okay? Depth chart talk is coming. I'm going to give you guys my depth chart. Again, keep in mind I filled this depth chart out before fall camp. I haven't really updated it a whole lot outside of the situation with what's going on the offensive line because I think it's still an ongoing battle. I think we've heard a lot of talk. We've heard some coach speak, a little bit of coach speak. So I'm going to stick with my depth chart. That's why I've not made any significant changes to it yet. But I'm going to give you guys my depth chart and kind of break it down. I'm also going to grade each position for you too while we're at it. Why not? Okay. I wanted to point this out. I really wanted to point this out. Bumper Pool, I was not aware of this. Bumper Pool played with broken ass ribs last year. I said what I said. Broken ass ribs. Not literally broken ass ribs. Broken ribs. My man played from week 2 on recovering with injuries to his ribs. Broken ribs. Last season, and this is him saying this. Last season, I broke my ribs week 2, and I felt my strength never finally came back, said Poole. Week 2 was the upset against Mississippi State when the defense completely dominated Mississippi State, and a big reason for that was Bumper Poole's 20 tackles. If I remember right, he had 20 tackles. I think he had a tackle for loss, and he may have even had a pass defended. Or a pass breakup. I think they call it a PBU. Is that right? Pass breakup, or maybe it was pass defended. Maybe it's PD something. Anyways, I'm pretty sure in that game he had at least a pass defended. He had a breakout game against Mississippi State, and he did all that with broken ribs. I don't know that I could fart with broken ribs. Like, that is insane. I can't tell you guys. I mean, this is his performance a year ago is why they keep talking about him in the media. It's why some people have him as a third or fourth team all conference. Don't get me started on the fourth. I thought 3 all conference selections was ridiculous. You got to have a first team and a second team. But still, it's nice that he's in that mix. People consider him one of the better linebackers in the SEC, and he did it with broken ribs. I won't say broken ass ribs, but that kid is strong, man. That is a mental toughness. The mental fortitude of that kid is unbelievable. That is insane. If I stub my toe, I'm out for a week. I'll tell my wife, it's all you. It's all you. I can't do this. And this dude is out here playing with broken ribs since week 2, trying to recover. That is insane. I don't know. Maybe it's common. I know ribs aren't as serious. I know that. I'm not a big fan of pain. And I hear someone playing through those kind of injuries, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, that's insane to me. I don't know. Obviously, it must have just been like a single rib, right? Like I'm sure it was. If it wasn't severe enough to really sideline him, then it probably wasn't as severe. But I'm damn proud of Bumper Pool, man. Like, that made me an even bigger fan than I already was of Bumper. Of course, I'm a fan of all these guys, but Bumper showing off that mental toughness, man. I mean, that takes a lot. And sometimes we forget. I mean, is he even old enough to buy a beer? What is he, a junior? So he's probably about that age. That's a tough kid, man. And he's back this year. We're obviously going to find out as to whether or not he's going to come back next year. I hope that he does. I like Bumper Pool so much. I think he's a big reason why the defense took a big step last year like they did. Obviously, Morgan and Catalan and so on and so forth. But Bumper was a big part of why they were better. And he did it not even at 100%. Morgan is the same. I get it. He was practically in a body cast last year. Both these guys are tough. You know, I get it, but actual broken bones. I don't know. I couldn't do it. Raheem Sanders went through the final days of spring camp with a high ankle sprain. I think is what Sam Pittman actually said. Let me pull it up. I have the quote. Rocket, this is from Sam Pittman. It was nice to have him back at full speed, said Pittman. He had that high ankle injury, so it wasn't a high. So it wasn't okay. He had that high ankle injury in spring ball, and he toughed through it. I don't think we really got to see the true him. He's 225 pounds, and I think we've got something there. And this is what I was talking about earlier. The purpose of me talking about these two guys is because, number one, I said it at the spring camp at the red-white scrimmage. When I saw him carry the ball, I get it. He had a nice run. He had at least one or two really nice runs. But I didn't see that same burst that I saw on film. Now, sometimes seeing something in person is different than seeing it on film. There's two different, obviously you're elevated with the camera and, things look a little slower than they really are. When you're there in person, I think things should look a lot faster than they really are. And he looked slow to me. And I was telling my buddy that went with me to the scrimmage, actually my neighbor, Alex, I said, man, he just didn't look fast to me. He didn't look like what we saw on film. Something must be up. Come to find out, he was battling through an ankle sprain or something with the ankle. And then the Bumper Pool situation. So you're going to have these guys back going into the season, going into fall, coming out of fall camp. Hopefully, wait, there's wood right here. You guys, can you hear it? I'm knocking on wood. Hopefully, they come out of fall camp okay. If those guys get re-injured, don't come attacking me. All right, it's the game of football. It's physical. Things happen. That makes me feel so much better about Raheem because, again, I left that camp going, yeah, all right, he looked okay. I mean, it's not like he looked bad, but he didn't look like he had the same burst that he did on film. On film, he just looked so quick. So maybe he needs to shed that weight. At the time, that's when we just found out he'd put on like all that like 10 or like 8 or 10 pounds of muscle or whatever it was. He just looked bulked up. He looked raw, like he could just tank some people like Peyton Hillis out there. And I thought, well, maybe the weight was a bad thing. Maybe he needs to shed. Maybe he needs to come down 10 or 15 pounds. But I think, like Sam Pittman says, he says maybe we've got something there. He thinks that we've got something there. So if he's anywhere near as explosive as he was on film from high school at that weight, holy cow, they could have something really special. But good afternoon. What's up, Daniel? How you doing, man? I can't wait to play Auburn. Bumper Pool, tackling running backs. Is there a chance they give us back the LSU Arkansas Thanksgiving Friday game? I mean, I don't hate Missouri matchup, but I like the LSU game the day after Thanksgiving. Look, with Texas joining, I'd rather play Texas. Give us Texas on that day. I don't know. Noah's Ark, do you think that Trey Knox could step up as the go-to secondary target behind Burks? Yeah. I mean, talking with the new receiver coach, when he was talking to the media, when was that? Was that Friday, I think, or Saturday? When did he talk to the media? Anyways, maybe it was Monday. I've watched so much film, I'm getting them mixed up. He talked about Trey Knox's ability to go after 50-50 balls. That should be Trey Knox. That should be ultimately why he is your number 2 guy. He's going to be on the field a lot. I absolutely think he has the capacity to be the number 2 receiver on this roster. There's no doubt about that. Trey Knox could be an absolute stud. Now they're going to move the receivers around. Again, Burks is probably going to play inside more, but they're going to play him wherever they think they can get a mismatch. So how does Trey Knox fit into that, right? I was initially annoyed the SEC forced a rivalry with Mizzou on us. Now I'm just kind of pissed off about it. Yeah. All right, do me a favor too, guys. Share the content. I'd really appreciate it. And for those of you who are watching this after the live stream, maybe you're a little late. That's okay. If you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below for me. Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys haven't already, but like the video. If you want to become a member of the PTN Patreon, that link is provided for you. Okay. Trey Knox was swole. Did you hear his dog passed? Man, that sucks. That's you could tell someone when he talked to the media, someone said sorry about your dog. You could tell that hit him a little bit. He's like, thank you. I felt for him, man. I mean, that's too bad. I don't know if he took that dog in. Maybe it was sickly and he knew that already and was kind of expecting it, but I don't know how long he owned the dog. What was its name? Was it Blue? I felt bad for him though, man. I always hate, because I know how attached people can get to their pets and their animals. They're a member of your family, right? They're a member of your family. We have 2 cats and a dog. And even though the dog pisses me off, we named him Bandit, he's still a member of the family, right? He's Bandit Hudson. We've got Rand Hudson. Then we have who we call Fat Cat. I don't even remember what the hell we named him. We just call him Fat Cat because he's so fat. But anyways, why don't Aggies dial 911 for an emergency? I don't get that. I don't know what you're talking about. It isn't even a rivalry. No, Missouri is not a rivalry. I agree. All right. The fun part. Let's get to this depth chart breakdown. Right? We got about 16 minutes or so because I see what you're saying. Why don't Aggies dial 911 for an emergency? Because they can't find the number 11 on the phone. Oh, that is a dad joke if I've ever heard one. Oh, all right. Well done, sir. You threw me off. That's the disadvantage. And I get now why other people don't read their chat till at the end of the show. All right. Depth chart breakdown. I've been working on this for a little bit, but I really kind of stayed off of it. And I have it on my phone, actually. Let's pull it up here, right? Let's just put this where I can. Okay. So I'm gonna do this position group by position group, and I'm gonna give you guys a grade. We're gonna start with the most complicated on defense. I'm trying to make sure if there's anything else I need to cover. Get all my notes. By the way, AJ Green is now up to 200 pounds. 5'11". He's just a shade under 6 foot. 5'11", 200 pounds. FYI. All right, so let's start with the secondary, all right? Actually, let's go underneath them. Let's go to special teams. And this is going to be quick because I really don't know who the hell is going to kick. I don't know what they're going to do there. You could have Sam Loy as your kickoff guy, or Vito, whose last name I can't pronounce. One of those guys are going to be your kickoff, right? Your punter's either going to be Reed Bauer or Sam Loy. But kickoff return, I've seen and heard Miles Slusher's name in the mix, along with Raheem Sanders. That tells you something. I mean, these are just names that were brought up to me as possibilities of guys that could return kicks. You also have, you've got a couple of other options there. I'm trying to think who else. Blair, I think, was someone who last year was seen returning punts and kicks. you've got a number of different guys there. Nathan Perotti, wasn't it Perotti last year who returned punts, although didn't return any punts because special teams was so bad? I'll tell you right now, again, A, B, C, D, F, because of the unknowns with special teams and because of how bad they were a year ago, my end of the year grade of special teams was like a D minus. They had moments where it's like, oh, okay, all right, we're not terrible. They're able to they're all right. They're kicking field goals, but then they're kicking the ball out of bounds on multiple kicks and not just in one game, right? They're getting penalties on fourth down when the punt team is out on the field. They don't look set on punt team. They're having to burn timeouts, and again, they're getting penalties on. It was just it was a disaster. Right now, I'm gonna leave it unranked because I don't know. You still have the possibility of a freshman kicker, Cameron Little, being your guy. Cameron, I don't really know how he's looked. So we'll just have to hold off right now on special teams. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I don't want someone to come back like, oh, you didn't mention special teams. Well, there you go. All right, let's go to the secondary with the defense. So we're going to go to defense. All right, your corners could look like this. Monteric Brown as CB number 1, corner number 1, Hudson Clark number 2. Now, there's a battle with Hudson Clark and with Ladarius Bishop. I heard them call him Day-Day. They have a Day-Day and a Dee-Dee. But Ladarius Bishop, who I remember hearing he was the fastest player on their roster. Really athletic kid. You're talking about someone who's about 6 foot, 6'1", 200 pounds. So you're not going from a 6'2.5", 6'3" Hudson Clark to like a 5'9", 5'10" shorter guy. You're going to someone who's in the 6 foot range, who's a lot faster, I think, than Hudson Clark. If that is the case, I've heard Devin Bush he's climbing up. I've heard Devin Bush's name mentioned at least once. But it looks like it's going to be Monteric Brown, and I would say right now Hudson Clark. But with Ladarius Bishop in the mix, can't forget about Corey Johnson in the mix. Now, safeties are a little bit different because last year you had 3 safeties on the field, right? You ran the 3 safety look. You had your free, what they call the middle and boundary, right? And then you had your nickel, who's typically your smaller. Basically like the role of what a 4-3 defense would look like, where your nickel comes in and he's kind of like the third outside. He's the second outside linebacker, but he's the third linebacker on the field. But in this case, they use a safety. That's how the nickels ran. That's how they do it, in the NFL. But typically they're up against slot receivers. They cover just about anyone who's in that space. And they, last year, I think you had a couple of guys rotate there, but primarily that was Greg Brooks. So your nickel back for right now, and this is the list that I wrote down. I like Greg Brooks. I've heard Trent Gordon's name mentioned in the mix there for that nickel position. Middle safety looks like Malik Chavis or Joe Fouché. Fouché kind of fell back a little bit from what I understand. I was talking with somebody else in the media about that. They felt like Fouché kind of dropped off just a little, and now it seems like he's kind of, there was a video someone released. Was that Trey Schapp? Trey Schapp. You guys should go follow him on Twitter. He put a video out. Joseph Fouché, I don't know who the hell he was covering. I only watched the video once, but he ate the entire route up. It was great defense. Now, I think it's just a little quick out drill, nothing great, nothing that's mind-blowing. They probably see that a lot. But I think Fouché is starting to climb back up into that one spot as far as the middle safety. And then, of course, we all know who the boundary guy is. It's going to be Jalen Catalon. There's a couple of guys that may find themselves in the mix. I have not heard Zach Zymos' name mentioned at all when we talk about safeties. Don't forget he got moved back there, and don't forget he's a bigger body. In fact, I think he's the biggest safety, biggest defensive back. He's a former linebacker. What is he, 6'3.5", 6'4"? I'm sure he's shed some weight. So you have, and then you're going to have your field safety as well if they do run some more looks in their secondary. Miles Slusher, Simeon Blair, Nathan Perotti. Those are guys, names you're familiar with that could also rotate. So they really have 3 to 4 different safety looks that they can run. This defense is going to be wild. I do kind of miss the days of just the old 4-3. It's simple. I mean, you've got your 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties. But the game has evolved so much. You don't see, no one runs the 4-3 really anymore. And if they do, it's typically something that looks like this, where you have instead you're running more of a 4-2 defense, and you're bringing that nickel, the nickel back third safety onto the field. So, but don't be surprised if you see of those really 3 to 4 different safety positions, they're all up kind of in the air. I'd probably put a grade of a B- on the secondary. Last year, I mean, you saw what they did against Mississippi State. You saw how well they shut down the Mississippi State air attack, the air raid. You saw what they did to the Ole Miss offense, picking off, apparently God's gift to quarterbacks, Matt Corral at Ole Miss, picking him off clean. And we know towards the end of the year, the wear and tear really started to build up. But overall, they performed really well. I mean, especially when you look at the takeaways, when you look at the interceptions. I mean, they finished top 3, I think, in total takeaways in the SEC. Interceptions, that's pretty impressive. Plus, you had Miles Slusher come onto the field. What was that, against Georgia, if I remember right? Had a fumble recovery. A freshman comes onto the field, has a fumble recovery. So the secondary, they know how to get the ball back in the hands of our offense, of the Razorback offense. I like where they're going. Not to mention the talent. Slusher is someone to keep an eye on. We know about Catalon. Monteric Brown says he wants to be the best DB, the best corner in the SEC, and there's people that believe he could very well be in that range of maybe one of the top 5 corners in the SEC. Maybe he has a good enough year and he gets drafted, right? Not a 3rd or 2nd round, but maybe has a good enough year where he's a 4th or 5th round draft pick. Kind of has that Armon Watts out of nowhere senior year or final year with the Razorbacks. Maybe that's what happens with Monteric Brown. By the way, Monteric, I think he is a really good corner. So I'll say a B-. I didn't write this down. B-. Linebacker core, you guys, there's so much here to talk about. We could really I need to speed this up. I spent a lot of time on the corners, or on the DBs, but there's so much to talk about. Okay, so you've got Bumper Pool, Morgan at the mic, and then you're really that's it. Unless they run a 4-3, which they probably won't. You might see Hayden Henry on the field if they do decide to run 3 linebacker package. Maybe we see Kellen Burrell in the mix somewhere in there. But Grant Morgan is definitely your guy. Levi Draper, you might as well write him off. So what does that mean for Christopher Paul and Andrew Parker? Those are the other backups. Maybe that's why they moved Levi. Maybe that's why they moved him. Maybe because these two are stepping up. I don't know. I haven't read much about them, but maybe the staff isn't telling us everything right now. But so Levi Draper's over to tight end. But originally I liked Christopher Paul in front of Levi Draper. I had Levi Draper, as a matter of fact, as my 3rd team, Mike linebacker, behind, again, Christopher Paul, and then Grant Morgan as your starter. Behind Bumper Pool, you're probably going to have Kellen Burrell and Hayden Henry. So linebackers, you guys know where I'm at. The depth concerns me. The quality depth is the only reason why I don't have them in the A category, but I have them as a B+. I had a whole thing written out actually about the linebackers. I don't have it here, but the depth is the only reason I'm concerned and why I won't put them in the A category, but I got them in the B+. Defensive line, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I know Sam Pittman put out his starting 4 kind of at the beginning of camp. I think it's going to look a lot different by the time it all happens. I really wonder that Trey Williams, the transfer, doesn't take the starting job. We know Dorian Gerald's been moved back. You're going to have Montiel Soli fight at that left end spot. Your 2 interior linemen, I don't know if it's going to be – I've got Markel Utsi, I don't know how the hell to say his last name. I've got him as your starter, Ridgeway behind him, and then Jalen Williams or Marcus Miller behind him. And then your other defensive tackle spot, you're going to have – so your second defensive tackle, you're going to have Torrin Carter, Isaiah Nichols, Andy Boykin, Cameron Ball are your 4 guys there. I think Nichols ends up taking that spot. 6'3". I'd like to see him north of 300 pounds. I don't know if he's put on any weight. But I want to say he's 6'3", 290, 295. I'd like to see him north of 300 pounds. In fact, if it's Markel Utsi, God, how do you say that last name? Is it Utsi? Anyways, if it's both him and Nichols, that means both your interior defensive linemen are going to be south of 300 pounds. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want my interior defensive linemen. These guys have got to be big, physical. They don't have to be super fast, right? You don't have to have a Jonathan Marshall quick off the ball, type of defensive tackle. You need someone who can clog up that gap, who can clog up both those gaps on the inside. I just don't like where they're going on the defensive line. If I'm being real honest, I've got them right now as a D+ on the defensive line. Not stoked at all there. I know Ridgeway, they've talked about his body. I mean, this is a guy probably around 6'7", 300. I think he's still around the 320 range. But I don't know. You've got transfers coming in, and out the gate, we're already talking about them being starters. That should probably tell you everything you need to know about the defensive line. When you've got transfers coming in, and it's like, I think they're going to start. I think they're going to be the guys. Both of them, as a matter of fact. And let's not forget the third transfer, what's his name? Trey Williams from Mizzou. So all three of these guys are talked about as starters. That's not good. That's not good when three starters are already talked about as possibly playing at 1 and 2. In fact, 2 of them may be rotating with each other. That's not a good sign, people. It's not. I'm not going to paint anything. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not happy about what's going on the defensive line. And that's the only reason. That's the one thing I've been hung up on all offseason. Are they better there? I don't know. They did lose Jonathan Marshall, who was great at least pressuring the quarterback. He was the only one. We know, I think Zach Williams has put on some weight. There's been some movement up there, but I just don't like it. I'm going to give them a D+ until they prove otherwise, until they prove me wrong. Offensive line, I'm going to try and break this down as quick as I can. Dalton Wagner, I've got it right tackle. I think when it's all said and done, it won't shock me to see Crawford as the starter. You still got Drew Vest fighting. I think he's still fighting for the tackle spot. Bo Limmer going to be your right guard for Rice more than likely, unless something changes. You're going to have Jalen St. John in the mix. I'm hearing some good things about him. But so I'd put Bo Limmer there now just because of the injury to Ricky Stromberg. Ty Clary at center. Left guard, it sounds like it's going to be Luke Jones, possibly maybe one of the other redshirt sophomores, Brady Latham or Dylan Rathke. Left tackle, we already know, Myron Cunningham. Marcus Henderson has also been mentioned, I think, at right tackle too. But he might also be in the mix at left tackle along with Terry Wells and Devin Manuel. Devin Manuel, by the way, is did you guys know he's 6'8", I think he's 6'8". What I have here is 6'8", 300 pounds. I thought I read or I heard on a podcast with Clay Henry, I thought I heard him say that he was up to like 10 or 15 pounds beyond that. So I don't know. All right. So again, offensive line. So defensive line, we had them in a D+. Offensive line, even with the banged up Ricky Stromberg, I like them improved. Last year, the way it ended, a lot of Felipe Franks sacks. I would say maybe 50% of them were on him. A lot of hesitation. I had someone come into my chat on a post-game show, and they were like, Ty, it's his foot, whatever, his knee, that's why he hesitated. Regardless, the point that I've always made there was that wasn't always on the offensive line. Sacks may go up this year because KJ is going to be asked to move around back there. He's going to be asked quarterback draws or utilizing the RPO, which we're going to see a lot more of this year. KJ said it himself. You're going to see a lot more RPO. You might have more tackles for loss, maybe even more sacks. I don't think so, though, because KJ's got a pretty quick release. Or at least he did in the Mizzou game, and he did in both the scrimmages that I was able to watch. But I don't think that's a complete reflection on the offensive line. I would probably put the offensive line going into this year because of the experience, because of the talent. Ricky Stromberg, we know, is a potential draft pick. I think Tykees Crawford could end up taking that right tackle spot. Tykees Crawford has a really high ceiling, but if he doesn't, Dalton Wagner, who's out there, we know all about Dalton. Myron Cunningham, who's back with all that experience. I have to put them at a B. Right now, I'm going to say a B-. Only a B- because it's not like we're coming off a group of 5 starters who are all projected really you've only got one potential draft pick on the offensive line. And even Ricky Stromberg's probably looking right now, if I had to guess, an early draft grade like 6th round, maybe 5th round. We'll see. Just depends, obviously, on the kind of year that he has, right? So we're not talking about a plethora of talent, but you do have a lot of experience. And I agree with what some of the other people have said in the media. I think Trey Biddy said this, along with some other people on the radio. I love the experience. I like talent more, but on the offensive line, experience is a huge factor. You know, knowing what you're doing, knowing what the guy to your right and left is doing, especially if you're obviously a center or a guard. You know, the tackles having the experience that they have, or Crawford. Again, keep an eye on Crawford. Also, keep an eye on Curry, too, by the way. But again, I like them B-. Not a ton of talent, but a lot of experience and guys who I think have proven that they belong in the SEC. And Ty Clear, say what you want about Ty Clear. He's got the experience, right? Okay, tight ends right now, I've got to go D+. I like Blake Kern. We talked about it earlier. We don't know what's going on with Hudson Henry. If Hudson Henry could stay healthy, if he meets, because I think he's another guy with a pretty high ceiling, not just because of his last name, not because of the stars, just based on what we've seen, what little tidbits we've seen, and what we've read, and what coaches have said about him, and what other people in the media have said about him. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. If he could ever stay healthy, I don't think there's any doubt he could be an all-conference caliber tight end. I think that's his ceiling. I'm not going to say first or second or third, but he's got it in him somewhere. He's that potential type of tight end. I mean, tight ends are targeted a lot. There's a lot asked of tight ends in this in this offense, but we don't know. He seems to be kind of injury prone. Blake Kern is not. I mean, look, Blake Kern's a great blocking tight end. He's probably okay for a check down target, not real fast. I've watched him run drills. Guys, he looks like a tackle, okay? He runs, in terms of his athleticism, he runs like an offensive lineman. This isn't some, big guy that runs really well for his size, like maybe, Hunter Henry didn't have the weight, but, Hunter Henry did have a bigger frame. But he's a little slow-footed. Good blocker, slow-footed. You need someone like Hudson Henry to step up. They need to solidify the number 3. They need to solidify the number 3 tight end. I can't stress that enough. Whoever it is. Hopefully Aaron Outley is able to report to camp maybe in the last couple of weeks, get him going. You still wouldn't feel that comfortable about putting him in there, right? Because he's not really participated. So, yeah, D+ is where I'm going to stick with the tight ends. I'm not writing any of this down, so I'm sure I'll mess this up later. Moving on to receivers. Now, I'm trying to hurry this up because I'm already way over where I wanted to be. Receivers will look like this. I think it's going to end up being Treylon Burks, your wide receiver 1, Devion Warren, number 2, and Knox in there at number 3. You have so many guys to talk about, though. Tyson Morris, who's been mentioned a lot. John David White, who I talked about earlier. You've also got Crawford, the OU transfer, Bryce Stevens, Kendall Catalon, who will at least be a guy that probably rotates, especially if they spread the offense out and they run a little bit more 4 wide than they do 3. You might see him kind of rotate in maybe as an inside guy a little bit. So another walk-on. How many walk-ons they have at wide receiver? 3? 3 guys. Is Chris Harris is he a walk-on? I think he's a walk-on. Maybe I'm just forgetting him in the last recruiting cycle. But they're stacked with talent. This is even without Mike Woods. I'll say this, if Mike Woods was coming back, there's no doubt in my mind, I think the argument would be there that this is as good as the Kobe Hamilton, Jarius Wright, Joe Adams group. Chris Gregg before he was injured, or not Chris Gregg, Greg Childs, and then, of course, you had Chris Gregg at tight end. I would argue with Woods in the picture, that's where I would put them. Without him, there's some unknowns, okay? Devion Warren is not participating at 100% through camp. Anytime I hear about a receiver in a knee brace or who's been seen with a brace on his leg, that's not someone 100%. Sam Pittman already talked about limiting his reps. That's a little bit. That's not what you wanted to hear. That's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear he's out of his. There's nothing on him. No strings attached. He's not wrapping himself up. He's not wrapping up knees. We're not putting anything in braces. He's out there running wild 110%. That's what I wanted to hear. But again, serious injury, serious procedures, after his surgery or during his surgery. I get it. Like, there's a lot there to unpack with his injury and a lot of expectations put on his shoulders. But it's because of that why that's the only reason why I put the receiving core right now at a B+. Because, Burks, possibly a top 10 draft pick. But you need a strong number 2 to step up. Trey Knox disappeared yet last year. You can count on both your hands how many catches he had last year. De'Vion Warren coming back from a serious injury, who's still not at 100%. You've heard a lot of talk about the incoming freshman, but these are all unknowns. Really, Burks is the only, for sure, he's the only reason why I put them at a B+. You take Burks out of the picture, I'm probably giving this receiving core like a C-, C+ grade because of the amount of unknowns. But they're so deep, right? They are so deep. I mean, again, going down this list, Katron Jackson, right? You still have Tyson Morris, who's proven that he can facilitate. Bryce Stevens, Crawford, Knox. It's just deep. And you've got guys, too. You've got guys who are probably going to be asked to move around a little bit, too, because they're so deep. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we do see Trey Knox at tight end. I've seen that brought up a lot. I love the size. I love the athleticism. I love the skill set. The potential with this group is really, really high. But right now, I'm just going to say it, going into right now in the first week of fall camp, I'd say I would put them B+. I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair, okay? I'm sorry I'm not reading chat. I don't want to get distracted. And then finally, quarterbacks. I'll just come out and say it right now, C-. We don't know. We don't know. KJ, I would almost put this next to like special teams in terms of like how I've gone about looking at them and trying to break them down and grade them out. KJ and both Malik Hornsby have really, really high ceilings. Okay? They both have really high ceiling. I think KJ, I'm not going to say, he's a potential first-round draft pick. Nope, not going that far. But in terms of what he can do in a Kendall Briles offense, I know we've talked about what he did against Missouri. He was fantastic against Missouri. 20 total yards of offense, 4 total touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. Didn't make a lot of mistakes, I should say. His pass completion, not the greatest. I think there was at least a drop in that game, but still, pass completion ratio, he's a sub 60% guy. You would really like to see him north of like 62, 63% pass completion. But that also has a lot to do with the play calling. You know, are you calling more check down throws, screens, things of that nature, or are you trying to throw complicated routes in heavy coverage? You know, typically when you throw deep, that's depending on who you're throwing it to, that's a 50-50 ball, right? And in Arkansas, in the past, that's not been the best thing for Arkansas until last year, until Felipe Franks really tore it up. And then we saw KJ. We saw his deep ball. I mean, we saw it in spring too. He's got it. He's got the deep ball. Let's hope that carries on to this year's with him being the starter. Malik Hornsby, look, he's turning the ball over a lot in camp. I don't know if you guys are reading this. I don't know if you're watching. It sounds to me like he's turning the ball over like every day they've had camp. They're not in full pads. Don't look too far into that. I said that in our Discord. It's complex right now, right? Now, as far as what he's capable of doing and where he needs to be, Malik Hornsby has to be ready to go. KJ has shown in the past he's willing to lower his shoulder and take hits. He's a big physical guy, right? 50 pounds. He's a big dude. And if you've watched him play before, he's not afraid of contact. So if I'm Kendall, if I'm Sam Pittman, I'm getting that number 2. Malik Hornsby better be ready to go. In spring, I talked about it with the people around me at the spring scrimmage. When he misses by a mile. Hornsby can overthrow people. He throws into coverage. But he's also, his feet, I mean, like other people in the media have said, you take your eyes off of him for a second, he's down the field 15 yards. He's already picked up the first down and more. That's what he offers to this offense. I'm sure if he ever does have to check in, that's what Kendall Briles will have written up for him, right? That's what Kendall Briles will have in his playbook for Malik Hornsby. But that number 2 spot has to be solidified. And it sounds like it is. It doesn't sound like really anyone's stepping on his toes yet. No one's really competing for the number 2 spot. I know they've mentioned John Stephen Jones probably going to end up with that number 3 spot, which is to be expected. I mean, my God, he's been here what? How long has he been here? 3-4 years? You know, he was here last year. He was recruited by Chad Morris. He's been here long enough. And I think he's a fully capable number 3. Should he be the number 3? I don't know. Will he ever compete for the number 2 spot? And maybe beyond that? Probably not beyond that, but probably he might, just because of his experience and maturity, he might compete for that number 2 spot. But I don't think so. I think it's locked in for the most part. But when I say solidify it, I mean he needs to be ready to go. Hopefully in the final weeks or the final couple of weeks of fall camp, we don't hear any more about interceptions. And yeah, some of his throws have been batted down. They have at the line of scrimmage. I think that's just a part of his mechanics. It's a part of his delivery. He throws low and hard, and I think that's just kind of part of his mechanics a little bit. Maybe he needs to release the ball a little bit higher up in the middle of his. I'm not a quarterback, so take what I say. But just as a casual quarterback or as an armchair quarterback, right? It seems like when you let go of the ball a little higher up, you're throwing at a higher elevation. You're able to throw the ball up higher, right? Like you're obviously the elevation. You're not going to have the ball batted down. You remember they talked about Ryan Mallett, and I think it was on Sports Science. They talked about his release, and when he releases the ball, he releases it up top, and it was like 8-9 feet. Like that's the elevation of his release. Some quarterbacks let go of the ball a little bit later in the middle of their rotation when they're throwing their arms forward, and they let go a little late. And they do that because they can throw it harder, faster, more accurate. The ball's going to have more spin on it. And I think that's probably what Malik's doing. I don't know. I'm just an armchair. I'm a Monday morning quarterback, Don't listen to me. Just as someone who's thrown a football. That's all. But he has had them batted down at the line of scrimmage, and I think 2 of his picks on Monday were because of that, and I think Bumper Pool actually picked him off. Or was that last week? Regardless, he's throwing interceptions. But I noticed that in the spring camp too. Both scrimmages, when he missed and was not afraid to throw into tight coverage. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. As far as the rest of the quarterbacks, Renfro and Lucas Coley and the other guys, it's I think the 3 spot, I feel like we're starting to get to where we're just going to call John Stephen as the number 3 guy. We'll see. We'll see if there's any fight. But again, I would put them at like a somewhere in the C range or a question mark. I think that's fair. Because we just don't know what we don't know. We don't know what to expect out of KJ. There's something different when you're now the guy, right? Now all that weight is on your shoulders. And you're going to build up more and more film as the year goes on, and defenses are going to try and figure you out. And now you didn't have that, well, you had that privilege against Mizzou. Mizzou had no idea what KJ really brought to the table in this Kendall Browse offense. Well, now you have that game film. Now you're going to have the Rice game film. And then Texas, you bet your ass, Texas is breaking both those videos, probably doing that right now as we speak. So that's the difference between being the guy – finding out in the middle while you're down on the field at Mizzou, you find out, oh, yeah, you're the starter today. Franks is out. That's the advantage. The defense had no idea what they're in for with KJ, and you saw how much faster that offense operated with him at quarterback. I'm sure that played a role, but I don't want to minimize what he did. I'm not trying to do that at all. He absolutely, he balled out against the Mizzou Tigers that fine Saturday. Did enough to win. Defense just wasn't there for him. So, all right, I'm gonna read a couple of comments and then we're gonna hang it up. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? A lot of comments here. Boop, 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 boop. For people without kids, the animals are children for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. I still look at LSU as our number 1 rivalry. I want the boot. Ty, do you think they could be moving tight end to fill bodies? I already answered that earlier, didn't I? Scrolling down. Hey, enjoy your barbecue, sir. John Ridgway is 6'6", 320. Right, he is, but he kind of been rumored he might actually be closer to 6'7". But yeah, he's 6'6", 320. He's a big dude. The Mizzou transfers will start, I assume, because they're familiar with how Barry Odom's style play, and that is going to play a role, sure. But Odom was here last year too. I mean, again, a couple of guys coming in from they were recruited by him and he coached them, sure, and that is definitely a factor. But I mean, we're talking about all three of these guys possibly either starting or rotating to some capacity. That does not bode well for what's going on your defensive line. Devin Manuel is listed 6'9", 370. Crap. Okay, yeah. So Clay was, that's where I heard that. I'm still pissed OU took Woods from us. What up, Ty? What's up, Frederick? How you doing, man? I'm at work. You the man. I'm on the clock. My boss said get off the phone. So I hid in the bathroom. Y'all are going to get fired, and then you're going to blame me. Them Hogs looking pretty big. Yeah, on average, I don't know if you guys heard this or not. On average, they're 20 pounds heavier. I don't know if that was compared to last year or compared to the final year of Chad Morris. I thought it was to the final year of Chad Morris. Renfro equals baller. I liked what I saw out of Renfro. I'm not going to lie, man. I think if he were a year older or had been in this offense under Kendall before, I think there's no doubt he'd be competing for the 2 spot. I really believe that. I was really impressed with him in the scrimmage. Damn, I missed the start. I will rewatch. Thanks, Ross. Wide receivers may be running on Jay Diesel this year. He looked pretty good in the red-white scrimmage, man. He really did. Anyone else catch Coach Jimmy Smith? I did not see that. I didn't see that with Rakeem Boyd. All right, I went way over, an hour and 20. I wanted to keep it in an hour. August 30th, full time. Starting on August 30th, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, full time, baby. Right here, PTN. I'm excited. Hope you guys will be there for that. Ole Miss transfer, the only quarterback Pittman has mentioned twice. No, he mentioned John Stephen twice, my man. Go back and watch his interview with, I think it was like his pre-fall camp interview. He mentioned John Stephen twice. Listening to you while on vacay in Orange Beach. Got a random Go Hogs from a toll worker. Nice. I got a friend down in Florida. He said he was at a hotel. I don't know what hotel on the beach, and looked up behind him, and there's a hog like banner hanging from one of the balconies up there. Smith basically called Boyd selfish and not a team player. Ooh, I may want to watch that. I thought his reasoning for leaving was his roommate caught COVID, and because of tracing procedures or whatever they called that, he was gonna have to sit out. I don't know. I'm over that. That was last year. He's gone. Good luck to him, Traylon Smith is all about the team. Yeah, I get that vibe too. I do. I get that vibe. And that's what you want. You want all these guys bought in. And what does Sam Pittman say? What all we have is all we need, or what we have is what we need, or whatever. That's what you want. You want every single guy bought in 110%. So, yeah. All right. Okay. That's going to do it. I do appreciate you guys. I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I'm going to be somewhere. And then I thought we were heading, we're going to be somewhere in eastern Arkansas. I don't know. But I'm going to be out of town from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be back Sunday evening, and I'll get caught up on whatever's happened through camp at that point in time. Looking forward to breaking all that down and getting caught up, and then we'll talk next week. Really looking forward to it. Now, if there's any breaking news, obviously I'll go live tomorrow. Don't put it past me if it's big enough news. I might be on vacation for a couple of days, but don't put it past me to go live on my vacation. I've done it before. You guys remember my trip to Florida? I went live a bunch. We pulled over on the side of the road so I could talk Arkansas basketball. So don't put it past me, okay? All right. Thanks, Ty. Have fun. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Huma. And again, if you guys want to join the PT on Patreon, it is provided. That link is provided for you down below. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're at 24 likes. I know we can get a few more likes. Hopefully soon. But yeah, Woo Pig. Shout out to these fine people right here. Tyler Edmonson, Anthony White, Timothy Whiseant, George Rector, Randall Hunt, Kelly Marie, John Goodman, Mathew Hestand, Doug Stubbs, Jenna Mayes, Justin Kipper, John Hawes, Danyel Hadley, Joe, Dustin Ross, and Thomas Nunley. Thank you to the July, Patreon supporters. Woo Pig. I'll see you guys next week.